Umaña, editor-in-chief of The Signal, and on today's episode, we're going to be talking about the parking problems here at UHCL, and also some awkward moments. Yeah. So I'm going to allow my guests to introduce themselves, so tell us who you are.
Okay, I guess we'll start with me then. Kirk McDaniel, reporter here at The Signal.
I am Arturo Guerra, audience engagement coordinator here at The Signal.
My name is Mirian Umaña, and I am a reporter here at The Signal.
Well, welcome everybody. And this is probably your second one, Kirk.
Yeah.
Mirian, this is your first one?
First time.
All right, and Arturo, you've been on a couple of these.
A couple? Yeah. A little as a guest, definitely.
Yeah, and you're going to be doing your own soon on Signal Insights?
Yes, eventually. That's coming close.
Yeah. All right, guys. So first up, for years now, students have complained about UHCL's parking problems. However, now that the university has an on-campus residence hall, there appears to be an increase in issues such as students creating their own parking spaces. So my first question to you guys is, what has been your personal experience with parking on campus lately?
You know, I will say, if you want to be a successful parker, you have to be here early. So that's where early classes actually come to an advantage, because you actually get a good parking spot, or you have a Friday class where no one's here already, so you already get a parking spot. But because all of my classes are during the middle of the week and they are during right in the middle of the day, I'm all the way back there, closer to the EIH building, just on my own.
All the time.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
I personally don't have such a terrible time. I am lucky in that since I am a disabled veteran, the Veterans Office actually gives us a pass to park anywhere on campus, in the student parking lots, and then also in the disabled parking. So if it is super, super packed, I'm just whoa, let me just
Use that pass real quick.
Yeah, take advantage of this while I can.
I don't know, Kirk. Coming to class early. I mean, I get here 30 minutes early, 25 minutes early, 40 minutes early, and I still, I'm driving around the parking lot, aisle by aisle, and literally 3 minutes before class is when I find a parking spot. And then I'm late to class. Inevitably. Always late to class.
Have you guys ever gotten in trouble for being late to class because of parking situations?
I don't know if I'm a good person to ask, because I show up about an hour early to everything. So I've never really been late to class because of the parking. I think also because I know how bad it is. Yeah. So I always show up super, super early. But that's just me, I think.
I wish I had your willpower to come an hour early, but I don't. And then I get to class and I just get to stare as I walk to my seat. And I had a teacher actually that, she did her role at the beginning of class. A professor, she did her role at the beginning of class. If you weren't there, you had to wait till everyone left after class and go and check in.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the consequence.
That's exciting stuff.
Thankfully, I haven't been late walking to class, but I have been in the moments in class where the professor's waiting an extra 10-15 minutes because they know how bad the parking is. And they're it's only 4 o'clock, let's go ahead and give it 10 minutes, give everyone time to trickle in.
That's pretty good, though.
That's cool. That's cool.
Well, I will say, there was a couple times where I woke up really late and I just decided not to come because I knew the parking was going to be bad. So I was I can afford to lose a day or so.
I can relate.
Yeah.
I can relate.
I was just there's no point in it.
But never to media production.
We're
never gonna miss that class.
No.
Yeah. No, and I live over by Seabrook and Kemah, so 146 already is terrible. So I'm do I?
It's one of those decisions.
It's one of those decisions.
Has there ever been a time when you're trying to find parking, you've seen maybe something odd or strange, people following people to their cars? Apparently, this is a thing.
Yes, I do that actually.
You do?
I mean, sometimes I'm are you leaving? Yeah. But I actually had somebody. I was waiting for my parking spot, and somebody swooped in and took my parking spot that I was waiting for.
Damn.
I was waiting patiently, and they took my parking spot.
What did you do?
So I was I raised my arms up in my car, and he was just looking at me as he was parking. He even pulled out, looked over at me, and adjusted his car as we pulled back in, and that made me even more mad. But kept it moving, found another parking spot. All was well.
All was well. So what do you think are some things that the university should be doing to improve in the parking situations?
So I will say, and if for anyone out there, if you go and look at the master plan, there is more parking and a parking garage that is envisioned by the university. So I think, in all honesty, the next step is make more parking before we have to go into any more construction that's going to choke the amount of parking spaces that we already have. But I think, it makes it a more nuanced issue. It's a fine line to walk whenever it's like, we have to tear up some of the natural beauties on our campus to create that parking. So, but if I were, a part of decisions that were made on these things, make the parking before you make the rest of the buildings, especially when it comes to any more residence halls. That's just my thought.
Agreed.
I definitely agree with that, but I would say definitely think about the times that you're holding the classes. Because from what I've seen, it's always like a big, just like out, whenever it's like 4 o'clock or like the 1 o'clock classes get out, like 3:50 to like 4:15 or something like that. It's just everyone's trying to get off campus, and it's just everyone's stopping everybody from getting out. Long lines out the exits on the entirety of the campus, like 1, 2, and 3. So maybe somehow kind of offsetting it, like maybe by 15, 20 minutes. So there is like, oh, now this class gets out, now this one's getting out, and there's not as much of a, I guess,
congestion.
Yeah, but that's the only thing I can kind of think of.
I will say to that, I've noticed when leaving campus, there's a bunch of like cars just trying to get out at one entrance at one time.
Yeah.
I think that's also like another tip for students is to look at the other entrances.
Yeah.
It may take you just a little bit longer to go around, but honestly, it's probably a lot faster than sitting in traffic trying to get out of one particular entrance.
Yeah. Which, too, I think if they were to maybe even widen those a little bit, maybe having more than one lane out, because there's some people going left, some people going right, and if they were to do that, I think it would also help alleviate it. But looking at the master plan, it looks like a lot of those will also be moved over or opened up. But yeah, that getting out of here is sometimes some of the worst things, because especially when you got places to be and you see that long line, you're gripping that steering wheel super hard, I can't do this right now.
Got here an hour early, but didn't have to get here an hour early.
Yes,
Yeah.
I would sit in class for 5 minutes and be like, all right, now I got to leave to go beat traffic.
Yeah. I totally agree. Yeah, no, the parking, like you said, let's try to take care of the parking issue before we start constructing more things, because like you said, they have to tape off areas, they have to take parking space away, and that's sacred to us, it's where, if I'm running late already, I'm not going to park in a parking lot across from campus to try to get to class because I'm already running late. But that's, totally agreeable.
Yeah. Well, that and the parking garage, I can already see how that's going to pose some problems, because if you look at the master plan, it's right in front of the Bayou building, covering basically where the staff parking is, to the back where the most highly coveted parking spots are. So build that first. Build it 8 stories tall, so that
I think there's
it's covered.
In the plan it's a 5, or is it 3? Something like that. I don't know. Don't quote me, but I glanced at it a couple days ago. So.
Alright. Well, these all sound to lead to some awkward situations, which brings us to our next segment. We have all had those moments where you wish you could crawl under a rock or run in the other direction, but because these situations are just too awkward. So if you're a UHCL Hawk, these are appropriately called Hawkward moments. So guys, tell us, what's a awkward moment you've been experiencing lately?
So, I didn't come prepared with one, but just hearing that intro, it reminded me of one very, very awkward thing that happened. It was a couple semesters back, actually, and it was before we switched to the online course evaluation sheets. and it was still when they were paper. It was a summer course that I took, and we had to go. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll volunteer to go take the paper down to the office, and it was in the SSCB, and I had to take it over to Bayou, and I was given the papers, and I got them. And I could not find the building, like the actual room that I needed to be in. And I looked at like several different maps. I was on my phone, and I was so lost. And I just kept walking around, and I'm not kidding when I say this. It was like an hour later after walking and walking and walking. And I don't know if it's just because I'm a guy, and I was not going to ask for directions. I was like, I can find a map. It was so terrible, and no one was there to witness this. But I finally found the place. I slid the papers underneath the door, and then I walked away just like head in hands, just like, oh God. Like,
so did you have to go back to class after this?
No, it was actually it ended at like 4, and that was the last class that I had. But I mean, like, I didn't leave until it was like 5. Yeah.
So in a lot of ways, you kind of just saved yourself time from being in traffic. So
there you go.
That's true. That's very true.
Down.
Yeah.
That's how you should spin it.
There you go.
Oh God. The silver linings. I like that.
Yes.
How about you guys?
So I don't know if this is just my observation or whatever, but every time I go to the women's restroom, it's to the left and it's to the right, right? Okay. So there's one bathroom in this building where the women's is to the right and the men's is to the left. So I wasn't paying attention. I was like, oh, I need to go to the bathroom. I walked to my left, went to the bathroom, came out. There was a lady right in the entry over where the snack machine is, and she's like, honey. She's like, that's the men's restroom. And I was like, well, there's a good thing that I was the only one in there because I had no idea. There was no, like, even when I walked in, I don't know if I wasn't paying attention. I didn't see any urinals, or I don't know, maybe I just walked past them, but I wouldn't have known unless she said
I think I know the restroom you're talking about. And it can be very confusing because the urinals are different designed than some of the other ones.
Maybe I just overlooked
It's very interesting. Yeah, that's hilarious.
That awkward moment when like you're washing your hands and you look up in the mirror and you're like, what are those?
Oh my gosh, yeah. But I didn't even see them, so I'm like, okay. I walked out and she was very concerned that I was in the men's bathroom, and I said, there was nobody in there, I promise, it was just me.
Oh my God.
That's funny.
So that was my awkward moment.
Dang, I don't think I have anything like that. I guess bad. Not, I want to say bad, but at least I can remember. I mean, I always have instances of walking down the hall and someone's either like super slow or like they're just blocking the way with like them and like 2 or 3 friends, and I'll kind of go like around them, but then someone coming the other way will kind of like be head on, like about to collide with me, and I'm like, what? Now I gotta get back in the slow lane like behind these people. I don't know if that counts or not.
That's gonna be pretty awkward.
Does anyone else have the issue like whenever like the elementary school kids come onto the campus and they tour and they all walk in like a single file line, and if you're on the opposite side of that line and you're trying to get to the other side, you're like and you're trying to jump through them and you're like, oh, excuse me, and they just keep walking. You're like, oh wait,
because they're told to walk in the line and keep up.
And then there's that one like slow kid that like he's not like keeping up, and you're like and then like you see your time, you jump right through.
Jump right through.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot.
That's very unique.
I mean,
very specific of it.
Very awkward.
They should just tell them they should walk in like a big mob.
Yeah. That's
Brandon,
how kids get lost.
What's your awkward moment?
So actually, mine's kind of similar to yours in regards to like the course evaluations. So one semester, actually for this particular class, media production class, I had to take back the course evaluations, and I didn't realize that the pencils that she gave out, the professor, were her own. I thought they were supplied, and so I took those down to the place, and I held up the pencils to them. I was like, oh, where do you want these? And they're like, oh, you can put them over there with the evaluations. It's like it was a normal thing. I come back, and she was like, where are my pencils? I was like, those are yours? She's like, yeah, I spent money on those. I was like, oh, I am so sorry.
So now you
Let me go to
know.
the bookstore. And
Get
he's
you
just
some
like, no, I'll buy them. It's fine. It's like, ah. So yeah, that was very awkward.
It's funny.
Terrible.
But yeah, so thank you guys for sharing your awkward moments and being a part of this episode. That concludes this particular episode of Signal Soundbytes. Thank you guys for listening. Feel free to follow us on Facebook, and if you have any questions, comments, concerns, any awkward moments yourself, send them to UHCL. Send them to Signal Soundbytes at UHCLthesignal.com. Any final closing comments?
It's finally October.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah.